everybody, welcome back to the Contrarian. Today I have a different sort of video to make today. It involves Washington partisanship and a potential government shutdown and potential default on U.S. debt that Janet Yellen has warned about recently. And while I don't think that this is a very likely threat, I do think that eventually one party or the other is going to compromise in some way. While I do think that, this is a relevant topic right now. There's just a lot of headlines going around, warning of Janet Yellen's statement. Today, this is nothing new. She's also mentioned this several times previously, but it just goes to show how unstable of a situation we are right now, and economically, as well as just in terms of how partisan the two parties are right now. So, without further ado, I will get into a article in the New York Times that really talks about this, and I'll just afterward I will explain why I don't think this is very likely to occur, but just why this is very frustrating nonetheless. Okay, so this is the best article I've found, at least today, that explains all of the current headlines that we're seeing. This is by the New York Times. Janet Yellen warns of a possible October default on U.S. debt swollen by the pandemic. The United States could default on its debt sometime in October if Congress does not take action to raise or suspend the debt limit, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warned on Wednesday. The extraordinary measures that the Treasury Department has been employing to finance the government on a temporary basis since August 1st will be exhausted next month, Ms. Yellen said in a letter to lawmakers. She added that the exact timing remained unclear, but that time to avert an economic catastrophe was running out. Once all available measures and cash on hand are fully exhausted, the United States of America would be unable to meet its obligations for the first time in our history, Ms. Yellen wrote. To delay a default, Treasury has in the last month suspended investments in the Civil Service Retirement and Disability Fund, the Postal Service Retiree Health Benefits Fund, and the Government Securities Investment Fund of the Federal Employees Retirement System Thrift Savings Plan. So they've already been cutting several benefits that they can. The distribution of pandemic relief payments this year and uncertainty over incoming tax payments this month have made it more challenging than usual to predict when funds will run out. Ms. Yellen said that a default would cause irreparable harm to the U.S. economy and to global financial markets, and that even coming close to defaulting could be harmful. Yes, it definitely would be. We have learned from past debt limit impasses that waiting until the last minute to suspend or increase the debt limit can cause serious harm to business and consumer confidence, raise short-term borrowing costs for taxpayers, and negatively impact the credit rating of the United States, she wrote. Democratic leaders have been insisting for months that the Republicans join them in raising the debt ceiling, saying that government hit its last debt limit because of the spending and tax cutting of the Trump Organization, what Speaker Nancy Pelosi of California on Wednesday called the Trump credit card. But Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, the Republican leader, is empathetic that he will keep Senate Republicans from helping Democrats on the issue. Democrats may try to attach the increase to measures such as an emergency spending bill to pay for relief and reconstruction after Hurricane Ida, wildfires, and heat waves from the summer, daring senators from Louisiana and western states to vote no. The showdown has again put the parties into a game of chicken, with debt default and potential economic crisis as the consequence. Ms. Pelosi at her weekly news conference on Wednesday said empathetically the Democrats would not include a statutory increase in the government's borrowing authority in a budget bill being drafted this month. That bill, under complicated budget rules, would pass without Republican votes in the Senate. Instead, Democratic leaders would dare Senate Republicans to filibuster a bill that does raise the debt ceiling. We Democrats supported lifting the debt ceiling during the Trump administration, she said, because it was the responsible thing to do. She added, I would hope the Republicans would act in a similarly responsible way. Democrats have several options they are considering. The government will run out of operating funds at the end of the month, so a debt ceiling increase could be attached to a stopgap spending measure meaning a Republican filibuster would not only jeopardize the government's full faith and credit, it could shut down the government. Democrats could also attach it to a major infrastructure bill that passed the Senate with bipartisan support and supposed to get a House vote by the end of this month, so barely before October. So, having read this article, just a few observations are that, first of all, we are very divided as a country. I wish it was not this case, but basically, as a country and as a world, we're extremely divided right now. This has been going on for a while. It is nothing new, but it has definitely escalated recently, and there's blame to go around pretty much everywhere. It's not one party that's especially to blame here. I just wish that we could just come together as Americans and as one nation and just really prioritize what matters instead of playing chicken. And really here, the only people who could lose with this game of chicken are the average Joes of the country, which is terrible that our leaders are doing that. But nonetheless, I'll stop ranting about that. But I do think that this, broadly speaking, just shows how unstable of a position we are in right now with the economy. Obviously, the stock market, the numbers look very good right now, but this does not reflect the strength of the underlying economy. As we can see from this article, we're on the verge of potentially going bankrupt on national debt if the debt ceiling is not raised. Now, I don't think this is likely simply because looking at past precedent, this is nothing new. This has happened many times before. Congress has always raised the debt ceiling, so I do think that that will happen again. I don't think that the U.S. will actually default on its debt this time, just because that would be very unprecedented. That would hurt the reputation of the United States immensely. But I do just think that this shows just how unstable the economy is right now, that within just a matter of weeks we could potentially be on the verge of a bankruptcy. So broadly speaking, I'm not concerned about all of the noise out there. I mostly see it as noise, just talking about what Janet Yellen has said. I mostly see it, though, as a bad economic sign, referring to just how close the economy is to collapse should things go poorly. So all of this being said, I'm not trying to provide advice, or I'm not trying to stir up fear in any way, but this is just my take on these headlines today regarding Janet Yellen's statement on potentially the U.S. defaulting on national debt. So if you like this kind of content, I mainly talk about going against the crowd here. This channel is called The Contrarian because I typically take stances that the majority of other investors aren't on board with, and this has played out very well for me in the past year since I started this channel. If you want to take a look at some of my previous videos, you can begin to see that. But all of this being said, if you want to hear more of this content, just consider subscribing, and I hope to see you again.